Northern France, 1944. Allied troops are bogged down in freezing rain and knee-deep mud, fighting for every inch of ground. They are running straight into entrenched German panzer divisions. These are heavily armored units with heavy guns, capable of shredding advancing columns from miles away. To punch through, the Allies needed to draw those German tanks away from the main lines. But they simply didn't have the spare men or machines to launch a believable diversion. So the US military approved a desperate, bizarre workaround. They deployed a top-secret unit to the front lines that carried almost zero heavy weaponry. This was the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Instead of infantrymen, the Army drafted set designers, illustrators, and sound engineers straight out of New York art schools and advertising agencies. These civilians-turned-soldiers were sent directly into the meat grinder of the European theater, operating near the absolute front lines with barely enough firepower to defend themselves. They were given an entirely different kind of objective. They had to solve a military crisis of numbers and steel by executing a massive psychological con. The first step of the illusion required fabricating the physical footprint of an entire American armored division out of thin air. Their primary tools were life-size inflatable Sherman tanks. From the altitude of a German reconnaissance plane, the painted canvas and rubber seams easily passed for a 30-ton war machine. But aerial silhouettes aren't enough to sell a lie. The artists painstakingly manufactured the surrounding details by physically dragging massive metal treads through the thick mud to simulate the tracks of a real armored column. Up close, the terrifying profile of a heavily armored tank dissolved into a hollow wooden frame wrapped in cheap canvas. For a military decoy to actually work, it has to anticipate the enemy's skepticism. Every visual detail had to be airtight to convince trained intelligence officers looking for a trap. The visual footprint was only half the trap. The second phase relied on weaponizing sound and radio waves. Hidden deep in the forests at night, massive sound trucks blasted synchronized recordings of roaring engines, clanking treads, and shouting soldiers into the dark. Meanwhile, radio operators flooded the airwaves with fake traffic, intentionally broadcasting fabricated troop movements and logistics to be intercepted by German listening posts. The unit executed over 20 major deception operations this way, often setting up their props and speakers less than half a mile from the actual German front line. If a single enemy scout patrol wandered too close and realized the tanks were fake, this isolated group of artists would have been slaughtered instantly. Their survival hinged entirely on maintaining perfect synchronization between the visual sights, the blasted sounds, and the radio signals, weaving a sensory web too complex to doubt. The bait worked. The deepest levels of Nazi intelligence and their top generals completely bought the illusion. This map shows the trap. Blue blocks, real Allied units, face red German panzer divisions. Miles away, the Ghost Army projected a hollow blue footprint simulating a vulnerable American force. German commanders detached their heavy armor, sliding down the map to hunt phantoms. By drawing that deadly firepower away from the real Allied advances, this tiny unit of creatives turned the tide of key European battles and saved thousands of soldiers' lives. Without firing a single shot, the Ghost Army proved that in modern warfare, a perfectly executed lie can dismantle an enemy just as effectively as steel.
History's greatest secrets are hidden in the shadows. Subscribe to Shadows of History and unlock the next archive.